What's up, Canes fans? I know it's been a while since you've seen our ugly mugs, but we're back. Yes, every once in a while we might appear on your screen during the off season, not just after Canes football games. Um, Joined by my co-host Jordan. He's been with me this whole
What's up,
time,
guys?
man. Been kicking butt with me, and we got former Canes player Chavez Grant to jump back in with us to help break some things down and give it from a
Um,
player's perspective. How you doing, Chavez?
I'm good, man. Same thing, different day. How you guys doing?
same old, man. I feel that. I feel that spiritually.
Yeah.
Well, I figure the biggest and best and brightest topic to jump into is this miraculous head coach that we just got ourselves. We got ourselves Mario Cristobal. And what I want to talk about is the immediate impact. What have you guys seen that is a little bit different than what you've seen maybe from the Diaz era when he first came in or from other coaches when they first came in? What's that immediate impact, Jordan?
So I don't want to get to a topic too early, I in case we talk about this later, but the main thing, and I don't know if it's the chicken or the egg, I don't know if it's why we got Cristobal or if it's a result of getting Cristobal, but it seems like we have top to bottom buy-in on the program, right? Everyone from, you know, our freshmen all the way up to our athletic director and the board of trustees and the boosters, everyone is bought in to make Miami a championship level program again. And whether that happens remains to be seen. I'm feeling quite a bit better than I have in my lifetime of being a Hurricanes fan. But like at least at this point, everyone's bought in, and they're actually bought in, right? It's not the Mark Richt, we're all feeling good, and no disrespect to him because he's a great coach,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, money says everything. Like words only say so much, money says everything, and we have top to bottom buy-in, and I love it.
Chavez, what are you seeing right from the jump? What's really caught your attention?
Well, I think first and foremost, we got to give credit where credit is due. And we have to, I think as a whole, give credit to the university for it seems like their rededication to football.
Yes.
For going out and getting the athletic director, for going out and get Cristobal. It looks like they gave him, kind of like free range, like go hire whoever you need to hire. So we definitely got to give them credit. But as far as Cristobal, man, it's just to piggyback on what Jordan said, it's definitely the buy-in. It seems like the energy is back. Like people are actually looking forward to the season. I think people now, as a whole, I think they more so want to support the university because they see that the university has bought back into what put them on a stage to begin with. You know what I mean? So I just think in the end, I think it's going to be a very very holistic uplifting of university as a whole. I mean, look at what men's basketball is doing right now. They're in the Sweet 16. Our ladies did good. So next is going to be baseball. It's going to be whatever. So I think that when you put that kind of energy and that dedication back into what brought you to the spotlight, I think it spills over into everything else, man. And just hearing Cristobal speak, that his heart is in it, and I think he went out and he put together the staff to keep us believing, and to I think he's going to put together a pretty good season.
The one thing I can say from the jump is, and you guys know that I'm in the recruiting game, and I'm talking to these recruits pretty often, weekly, daily basis type of thing. The questions I'm getting from recruits now are completely different than the questions I was getting when Diaz was right towards the end of his life cycle at Miami. It's unbelievable. It's night and day. It is literally night and day in difference. The hope, the excitement, the idea that Miami might be a place where you can come to and develop your skills for 3 or 4 years and make it to the NFL like it used to be. That stuff's starting to get talked about again by kids. Kids are starting to run. Those ones are starting to come back again. Like, hey, look at this staff. Like, this is the type of staff that develops players. And this is the type of staff we haven't had top to bottom for quite a while. Yeah. So I definitely want to just make sure to chime in there because the recruiting impact is basically unlike anything I've seen since I've been doing this. And in this short amount of time, especially.
Yeah, and you mentioned first time we've had a staff like this in a while. But I don't know if it's crazy to say that it's the first time we've had a staff like this ever, in the sense that we're hiring qualified guys, right? Rather than making them qualified by their excellence here at the university, because there's so many fantastic coaches that have come through here as position guys, coordinators, stuff like that. But typically it's been that they got their first taste of career success at Miami, as opposed to us going out and saying, you're a Broyles winner, here's $2 million. You're a Broyles finalist, here's $1.5 million. Oh, you're an offensive coordinator, come be a position coach here. That type of stuff. Like, that's serious business, man. I'm not sure Miami's ever played at that level. And it'll be interesting to see what we can do now that we are finally, swinging the money bags around like other blue chip programs do.
I'm seeing an SEC type of approach. Is that what you're seeing, Chavez?
Yeah, definitely. And just to piggyback off what George said, I mean, look at Rhett Lashley. Had it not been for him, he wouldn't be a head coach right now. I mean, let's just call it what it is. I mean, he was a pretty good name. Yeah. So when we got him, we was like, okay, all right, and then after he did what he did here, and again, props to him for taking advantage of the opportunity.
For sure.
But he's a head coach now because of what he did at UM. But I mean, just like Jordan said, I mean, look, you talking about a former head coach in Charlie Strong who was coaching linebackers. Yeah. So he's not even a D coordinator. I mean, he was a head coach in Texas at one point. He was one of the best coaches in the nation. I mean, look at Josh Gad, just came from Michigan. They were in the top 4. You know what I mean? Who would have ever thought you would have landed that guy? But again, like Jordan said, man, throwing around the money. I think people really believe in Cristobal. I think they believe in the university's approach, what they're going to do with the football program, man. So it's it's promising,
Yeah. Well, one thing, just going along with what you're saying, Chavez, is I think people like Cristobal earned a ton of respect from his peers, from the media, from everyone during his time at Oregon. And he's kind of a guy that is very, at least this is my impression of him. I've never met him. My impression of him is that he's someone who's very matter of fact, very upfront about what he's thinking and what he's feeling. And to have a guy that's had that success and has earned that respect from his body of work, to be at a place where he's extremely passionate about, like, I'm sure he cared about Oregon, but I don't think you can fake what's happening with him here at Miami. Like he's essentially implied, I don't know if he said it directly, but like, this is his life's goal, like this is everything that he's done since he's been finished as a player has led to this moment. And so I think you're getting towards something that could be a special combination of aptitude and passion.
Yeah, and especially with that, it's not only that he says that, it's that we actually believe him. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, him playing here, him, playing during that era to see what it was like, to coach at UM, then to go on to Alabama to see what that program is like, a very successful program. Then to go to Oregon and do it himself. We know he went to FIU, he got his feet wet. But he pretty much, even though they didn't have success there, he put FIU on the map. Nobody knew FIU until Cristobal got there. So, of course he was battling with, we all know it's a small program. There's no money, no real talent there, but you knew that Cristobal was there. Yeah. You know what I mean? So like you said, man, he's been around the block. He's been to a lot of proven places. Yeah. He's proven himself in Oregon. Those guys were a pretty good program. He kept them up there. They were always in the conversation. So it's real good.
And when he, there's that clip that's kind of become a meme or a GIF or whatever, of him pointing to the logo and saying that logo right there, it hits different, that type of thing. Like, it's so believable because he put his money where his mouth is. It's not just, it's not a guy coming here because it was his best opportunity.
Right.
and
Right.
saying that it's not Manny Diaz. And I don't mean any disrespect to him in this regard, but like it was either Temple or it was here.
Yeah.
Right. So if he says, hey, this logo hits different, it's like, well, yeah, but that's the best opportunity that you were getting.
Right.
Or Al Golden, Randy Shannon at the time.
Yeah.
That type of thing, right? It's not that he's here because it's the best thing for his career,
Right.
because it clearly wasn't, right?
Right. Exactly.
He had entrenched himself in Oregon. I mean, he's going to have a top 6 pick in the NFL draft, like what, 4 years in a row now, something like that. I mean, because it was Justin Herbert, Penei Sewell, and then he'll have Kayvon Thibodeau.
Yeah.
So 3 probably, but like it's believable because he's sacrificing to come do this.
Absolutely.
So it's believable when he says that the logo hits different. He's not only telling us, he's showing us that it hits different for him, right? Mm-hmm. Because he's passing up what I would argue was actually a better situation if you really zoom out and look at it objectively. Like having the established success, the program that he's building, the level of talent at Oregon was probably a better situation than coming to Miami, but it's because he's on a mission, man.
Yeah. Everybody knew that too. Everybody knew that. That's why nobody thought that he would come here. Yeah, because they knew that Oregon was a better situation. So for him, like you said, to sacrifice and kind of put his, I would say that he's somewhat putting his like reputation or career on the line. Yeah, because like you said, he was in a much better situation. He could have stayed there. He could have had a couple down years. They still would have said, "Hey, look what happened when he first got here." We just got to give him time to get back. Yep. So yeah, man, he's taking a sacrifice, but you can tell that it's in his heart. So that's a good thing when it comes to coaching, because as a player, you can tell if a guy's really there, to really make a change in the program, or if it's a guy who, and every coach says this, and I can't stand this line. Yeah. When they get a job at a big school, this is my dream job. Yeah. They say that about every school they go to. Yep. Every big school they go to, they say that. But again, I think Cristobal meant it when he came here.
Well, yeah, and just I think you helped me clear up in my mind what I was trying to say a little bit, is that like this isn't just another rung on the ladder, right? Like if you're looking at Mario Cristobal's career ladder, this isn't just another step on the way up, right? Like where else does he go from here? I mean, the only conceivable option is like Alabama or Ohio State, but probably not, right? Like that, we'd just be getting into hypotheticals at that point. But it really doesn't seem like this is a step on the ladder for him. It seems like this is the pinnacle of what he's going to do as a coach.
Yeah.
I see you guys, you use the word sacrifice, and I totally get it. But what I will say is sacrifices are made much easier when you surround yourself with the talent he surrounded himself with at Miami.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you make that sacrifice and you come into a place like Miami and you don't get your guys, you don't get your plan A guys, plan B and C start looking a little sketchy real quick. Yeah. So the fact that he was able to get this staff together, I mean, dude, he put this staff together behind the scenes mostly. We didn't even know any of this was going down except for the cornerback coach from Georgia.
Right.
I mean, dude, props to him for keeping it low key, keeping it in control, keeping the media out of it. And damn, man, I mean, we have a full staff of savages that can recruit right now. Like a straight up full staff of savages and guys who have proven development. Then you go out and get the Broyles Award winner.
Yeah. Well, and one thing that, if you don't mind me interjecting, I just want to touch on like the interview with Kevin Steele after he agreed to come here. He's very respected. Yes. Just like a year ago before Josh Hoople got the Tennessee job, it was kind of rumored that Kevin Steele might be the guy, before they changed ADs and all that stuff. And just the way that he was talking about Mario kind of put into perspective the way that his peers see him, because he said, I encountered Mario on the recruiting trail, and I kind of knew who he was as a person, what he wanted to do with a program, and to have someone, what is he, like 15, 20 years older than Mario, that, you know, Mario gets this job and then he's just like, yeah, sign me up. I'll be a defensive coordinator. When he had pretty much made it clear that like he was gunning for a head coaching job after Auburn, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that says a lot about the way people see Mario from his peers, right? That it's like, I don't know, man. Like, that's pretty intense. Like, you have a guy that just finished second or third in Broyles voting like 3 years ago. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
I'm impressed top to bottom so far. It's a short amount of time, but I'm not sure what they could have really done that I'm seeing that would have been bad, honestly. I haven't seen an outright bad move or a bad call be made yet.
Yeah.
There were some coaches that, you know, that were talked about in the rumors that I wasn't sure about, but of course that got pushed to the side and we made the right hires. Yeah. I'll tell you, like the cornerback coach from Georgia, me and Paul over on the Scoop, we interviewed Lake Gibson's head coach. That's where Cormani McClain goes to school, the #1 cornerback in the nation. Yeah. He was clear with us. His head coach was clear with us that bringing the Georgia cornerback coach in was the game changer. He was the leading getter for Cormani going to Georgia, and Georgia was leaning towards Cormani coming in at that time. So we got the main guy that was going to pull him to Georgia to come to Miami, and apparently it's already caught Cormani's eye. He's already very impressed.
Right.
Yeah. I laugh a little bit, you know, thinking of you mentioned the rumors, and Frank Ponce was a very hot name. You know, like people were throwing him out there when we were looking for offensive coordinators. And I joined most people, and like if that was the offensive coordinator hire, would have been pretty disappointed. Very much a Manny Diaz hire, you know. but the fact that he came in as a position coach, that's a big deal. You know, like, yeah, the fact that we're going to, you know, schools like App State and we're taking we're getting their guys to take a demotion to come here is a big departure from the Miami of the last 2 decades.
Mm-hmm.
Just think of a guy like Chuck Pagano. We had him on our team as a position coach. He went and had a successful career in the NFL. That was loading up at talent, and that's what we're trying to do again. And Cristobal's smart enough to know that just because he's loading up now, that doesn't mean that the party's over, man. Right. There's next season, the season after that. I mean, and think about it. If things go good, and we want them to go good, and they go as good as we hope they will, that puts more attraction on the other coaches to get bigger and better deals elsewhere. So it's just part of the game. But so far, I got to say that I like how Cristobal has stacked some of this talent behind some of the bigger names. We've actually got some guys like behind the scenes and analysts and stuff that are playing some major roles for us. Yeah. And there might even be room for an analyst or two to possibly move in onto an on-field role within a year or two if they prove themselves. So, you know, keeping DVD around and stuff like that, dude, just major while adding all that talent around.
Yeah. I think it definitely, and I think like you were saying, I think from a head coaching standpoint, it's like you always have to look at the next move, right? So if I hire this amazing staff and we perform to the level that I believe we can, I know that I'm going to lose some coaches, right? So, you know, maybe I project that I get the Georgia DB coach. We do so well in a year or two, he's going to be a D coordinator somewhere. But now someone like DVD has learned under him. And so now I can plug DVD in. You know what I mean? So I think that they're always, I think great coaches are always looking at things like that and trying to figure out the next plan, or, you know, who they can bring in next or who they can groom for their staff.
I want to talk about this comment that I saw here because it's something we definitely don't want to pass over on. We're bringing in local high school guys that got swag, guys who got pull. We got Jason Taylor on the staff, and we also went and got Miami Central's head coach to join the staff, which is part of the full court press that we're putting on for Ruben Bain. We hired Ruben Bain's brother as well. Yeah, the red carpet's laid out. Yeah, the red carpet's laid out. Ruben knows it. I talk with him often. He's very, very aware that, you know, I mean, Miami is prioritizing him absolutely, and he loves the Canes fan base. I'll tell you that. He loves the Canes fan base. But the fact that we're bringing in guys like Jason Taylor and Roland Smith, 2 local legends who are putting in work,
Yep.
Bro, I mean, that I've
Yeah.
been waiting for this for a long damn time.
Yeah.
I love the dynamic with Jason Taylor's like the kids that we're recruiting on the D line, like they grew up watching Jason Taylor play for the Dolphins. It wouldn't surprise me if they want to come to campus just to meet a guy that they watched on TV growing up, you know? Like it was a perfect idea, you know, and just the fact that we made it attractive enough to him that it didn't come across as gimmicky, right? Is a really big deal in my opinion.
I actually got a question for you guys here. Dealing with Cristobal being our head coach, and then also bringing in, of course, an amazing offensive line coach in Mirabal. You know, the offensive line in Miami's been a problem for far too long.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot expect overnight fixes to fix everything. But what do you guys think, though, as far as the year progresses? Now that we have those two guys on our staff, do you believe that we'll start to see more progression week by week?
You go ahead, Chavez.
Yeah, I definitely think so, man. But I mean, like we've been talking about, when you talk about you know, bringing in the staff that you're bringing in, when you talk about you know, hiring a great D-line coach or a great linebacker coach, like all of these things, they start to trickle over onto, you know, the guys that they're competing with, right? So if I develop my defensive line, then my offensive line has kind of no choice but to get better because they're practicing against some of the best guys every day, right? And so, you know, when you talk to some of the guys who played at UM, like back in the day in 2000, 2001, when they were, you know, killing championships, they knew that in practice, I'm going against the best guy in the nation. So when I line up against you know, some other team, whoever we're playing, he's not as good as my teammate, right? So, you know, it's a very holistic approach, like we've been talking about, when you hire these great assistant coaches and, you know, you have these great minds that are jousting back and forth, like iron sharpens iron. So, you know, I think it's a great thing when, you know, when, like I said, you have these great coaches who are competing against other coaches and developing players on both sides of the ball. You know, it does nothing but helps to that progression.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so I thought that Garen Justice did a good job of recruiting offensive line prospects while he was here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that, you know, we have a whole bunch of young dudes with a lot of talent, in my opinion. I think we have a lot of raw talent on the offensive line. You know, offensive line is a big boy position. You know, it's not the type of thing that like an 18-year-old can walk onto campus and start throwing around a 22-year-old defensive lineman, right?
Yeah, not
like,
usually.
Yeah, that's a rarity. You know, that's more the exception than the rule. But I actually liked our O-line recruiting class last year. It didn't really bother me that you didn't see much of an impact immediately. I think that's pretty typical. But my point is that I don't think that Garen Justice left the cupboard bare for Coach Mirabal. And so I'm actually excited to see, you know, this fully revamped coaching staff. I think that they're going to have some stuff to work with. I would hope. So I do have a pretty bright outlook on the offensive line. I do think that, you know, a year from now, 2 years from now, we'll see a huge progression from 2019 to the 2020 or 2023 season. You know, like that type of run. I think we'll see steady improvement every year. So
how big is it, you know, not only to have Mirabal, but to have your head coach as an offensive line guru himself? I mean, that's what gives me the hope for a little bit of quicker turnaround, because, you know, our head coach is going to prioritize what he's going to prioritize. It ain't no damn secret. He wants to run the ball and he wants to get the offensive line straight. If we can do that, we make TVD's job even easier. And that's where Gaddis comes into play, especially. I was blown away by what Gaddis did last year, guys. Absolutely blown away, for the simple fact that Michigan lost their only and best deep threat on passing during the middle of that season. That's not an easy thing for an offense to try to figure out and you know, you can't spread the field anymore, basically. So him coming together and designing these short plays that got guys open and got guys going for yards after the catch got me really excited because it showed that he knows how to get the ball out of a quarterback's hands quickly. He knows how to do it in ways that get positive yards. Not when you just throw it out and your guy gets popped and he's down. Gaddis showed me that he could change on the fly. And guess what? Changing on the fly won him the Broyles Award. So that means right there that we didn't even see the guy that he was even planning on being himself. He had to become someone totally different. Now just wait to see Gaddis as Gaddis at Miami with the tools that we have. I think it was a freaking awesome hire, honestly.
Yeah, man. That is crazy. That was kind of the moment where like all of my anxiety just went away, because I had some anxiety. I was pumped that we got Cristobal. We'd talked about it on here. I was also a big Lane Kiffin supporter. After all is said and done, I will happily admit that Cristobal was the right guy. If we're having this type of financial buy-in, like, Cristobal was the right guy to build a program from the ground up. Like, Kiffin wasn't going to do that for us. He was going to maximize what we had if we were still strapped financially. But anyways, I digress. And now I lost. Oh yeah. So I was getting antsy about the lack of coordinators, all that stuff through signing day. Once we signed Josh Gaddis, it was just like, all right, I can happily go watch the NBA and not even worry about the Canes for a few months, man. Like, we're in good hands. It's all good. No stress. And I haven't had stress, man. Like, when I see people on Twitter, they're just like worried about, depth chart stuff. It's just like, dude, I'm good. I'm good for now. And it's a good feeling. I've never felt this way as a Canes fan.
You trust the coaches. I mean, when you outright trust a coach and a coaching staff, it changes your perception on the entire event going on. There's no other way to look at it in that fashion.
Yep.
Like we mentioned, these incredible coaches that they added around to kind of make it as a whole, to make it a whole, not just a good head coach, but to make it a whole staff. Chavez, I'm kind of curious to you though. This is one we haven't touched on yet. How familiar are you with that new strength and conditioning coach that they brought in?
I'm not real familiar. I know he was pretty popular. They was talking about like his style and everything, and especially how when Cristobal, so Oregon was known for like everything was like fast, speed, go, 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 go. And then Cristobal kind of turned it into where he wants the big guys in the trenches. But I think they had a good balance. They still had the speed and everything going on, but they had, they had the big guys in the trenches. So I think they credited him, the strength and conditioning coach with, kind of keeping that balance where they still got the speed and they're able to spread it out and run. But they still got the guys in the trenches like Mario wants them. So I think, being that they developed that over the years, that is probably the main reason why Cristobal brought him, to Miami with him. So, I think he's proven, I think he's proven out there with Cristobal. Cristobal has made all the other right hires. I can't see why this won't be the same deal. Yeah.
Well, just to your point, I just want to tack this on the end is, the proof is in the pudding, and that last year they had Penei Sewell drafted third, and this year Kayvon Thibodeau, like two guys from the trenches. That's not traditional Oregon football. And they're going to have two guys go top 10 in back-to-back years, or a guy go, in back-to-back years in the top 10 from the trenches. So I think that really speaks to your point, man.
Yep.
Chavez, what can a guy, a strength and conditioning coach like Coach Feld with the attitude and he's gotten dude's a madman basically.
Yeah.
What type of positive things can he add during his first years while he's at Miami? Because it's going to take him a couple years to get his system down. What's going to benefit our players immediately from having a guy like that, do you think?
Yeah, so I think the main thing is first of all, it's the energy, right? It's the energy, and the thing about a strength and conditioning coach is it allows you to connect with somebody off the field, but still in a coach's, still in this coaching realm. So like one of the staples at Miami was Swayze, right? Yeah. So when I got there, Swayze was still there.
Yep.
So Swayze was kind of like that person you can lean on when you couldn't really go to your coach, but you still wanted to like kind of vent to somebody, or you wanted some advice about how to handle something. And then Swayze would be like the kind of go between, because you spend a lot of time with Swayze, right? You spend a lot of time workouts. And when you're working out, the coaches aren't there. So you're there at 6 a.m. or whatever with Swayze, and then you go on the field to practice with your coaches, but Swayze's still there. And then after practice, when you're in the ice tub, Swayze's still there. So, Swayze spent a lot, the strength and conditioning coach. I'm just thinking Swayze because that's who I was with. But the strength and conditioning coach, he's like always there. So if he's got that energy, he's got that positive impact with the guys, he can kind of start to plant those seeds for how his system is going to work. Right. And so it's so far it's been a successful system. So if the guys buy into the program, if they're having fun, first and foremost, it's hard work, but he's got to find a way to make it fun. So if he can do that, if he can have that connections with the players, and then ultimately a strength and conditioning coach is going to impart his system onto the players. The players are going to be the ones to reinforce that system, as the years go on and new guys come on. So I think he's going to have a good impact, man. Like I said, I don't think it's a mistake that Cristobal brought him down. So, if he keeps that energy high, he keeps the guys engaged, and he develops those relationships, man, it can be promising.
We were bringing in all these guys that have proven throughout their coaching years that if it might not be year one, more than likely it's year two, they get things right. It doesn't take them 3, 4, 5, 6 years of having to just be patient, wait, just wait. We've had enough of just waiting at Miami. We're done with that crap. But that's why we went and spent the money. And that cannot be understated. It just simply cannot be something that we can forget about. That money being spent is why we have what we have. And I hope that the University of Miami now goes and looks at it and goes, damn, we can make a lot of money off that football program if we keep pumping money into it. That's a smart investment. It's a smart investment. Keep it up. I don't know how much further they want to push it, but then of course the NIL stuff, of course, adds on as well. We're maneuvering through that pretty well. So whatever we got to do to get these guys paid and keep money coming into this football program, I mean, I'm all for it. What do you guys think about the new AD so far? How do you like his role?
I like it. I mean, it's early in his tenure. But as Chavez pointed out, we're seeing our athletics perform better than they have in recent memory. There was immediate uptick, Coach L, arguably on the hot seat when Radakovich was hired. Now he has the program as far as we've ever been in the NCAA tournament. This is functionally tied as the best season we've ever had, right? This is the deepest we've ever been in the playoffs. And then things are firing on all cylinders in the football program. So it has to be good. It's a small body of work, but just the whole vibe around the university is much more positive. I don't really see anyone expecting us to be all fluff again. That kind of became a trend that even when we were loaded hypothetically before the season, people are just like, well, this is what happens. Miami comes into the season, they're ranked 15th in the preseason poll, and just wait till they play a decent team, right? I mean, I haven't really seen that vibe in the national media yet. I think people are taking this very seriously, and it's because people can sense. Chavez said something about the fans buying in, right? Like that's kind of the final step. Is why would the fans put their money, put their emotion into something when we can tell that the administration isn't even doing that? So the fact that there is reciprocal buy-in, from the fans too, because they see the administration, that's kind of the final step in this process is everybody is bought in top to bottom, including us, right?
Buying the fans is one of the biggest things. They had to buy us. They had to convince us because we were pretty much getting to the point where we were done. If the right hires weren't made, I heard from a lot of fans that they were considering not not getting their season tickets for that
Right,
season
right,
if we didn't put money into the program. So I mean,
yeah.
maybe it took a while, but maybe it just happened at the exact right time too. That's how I'm kind of looking at it. I hate what we had to go through,
Right.
but maybe, just maybe, all that madness led to something like this, that we can have something truly positive from top to bottom. That's my hope, anyways. Chavez, do you think that that's a possibility?
Yeah, I think that's a possibility, man. I think that's a possibility. And just to kind of go back to what you were saying about how the fans were, I think all the fans were saying that after Manny Diaz, or that they knew Manny Diaz was out the door, but the fans were saying, commentators were saying, this next hire has to be the right hire. You cannot mess this up again, because had they messed it up again, it would have been really bad. And at the end of the day, for the college to put the money into the program that pretty much brings you the money in the first place, it is an investment. And so you have to make that investment if you want a return on your investment, right? So again, like we've been preaching all night, man, I think that everybody's really bought in. I think the fans are excited. I think we're happy that that it seems the university is putting the money where their mouth is. I think the athletic director, him coming from a proven program like Clemson, I think people are excited about that. I saw a question down at the bottom, and they were saying that I think they were talking about our men's program and how they were having success in the tournament, and they were saying, do they think that would spill over to to football? And the answer is absolutely yes. When I was there in my years, we would go to the basketball games, and we would go to the guys' games, we would go to the women's games, we would go to baseball games. Look, candidly, I don't like baseball. I don't watch baseball. But like, if we're winning and baseball is winning and basketball is winning, the campus is electric. The fans are electric. You want to be everywhere where Canes fans are. So anytime that you can have success from a holistic approach, and again, that's what the athletic director's job is all about. Like, how do we generate success? First and foremost, from the program that brings us the most money, which is football, and how do we spill that success over to basketball and rowing and swimming and tennis and all the other programs, because at the end of the day, they are an athletic director for all the athletics. Of course, their focus is going to be football because that's what brings in the money. But if all of your programs are winning, it's easy to make money, and at the end of the day, the college wants to make money.
Well, it's almost become my catchphrase on this show, as I was advocating for us to start dropping bags, was the most expensive thing that they could do is be mediocre.
Yeah, right. I remember you said that last time.
Yep. I mean, so I'm a big NBA fan, and dude, I mean, if you remember, even like 10 years ago, the Golden State Warriors were a laughingstock, right?
Mm-hmm.
They build this incredible dynasty by being shrewd, to be fair. They drafted well, they made some good signings, but then they've had the biggest payroll in the NBA going on like 6 or 7 years now, and it's like no one ever talked about them being a big time NBA team before that. No one ever talked about, well, all the Warriors need to do is spend $170 million a season. Like, that wasn't really in the conversation. Like, they did what they had to do, and then they became so big and so successful that it didn't even matter anymore. I think the owners just like writing the checks, just like, whatever, go out and win me another championship, because it pays for itself, right?
Yeah, 100%.
It's really expensive to be like okay at best. To be mediocre is very expensive. Yeah, because you have all the same startup costs, but your revenue is lower, right?
When you don't even know what approach you're going. You don't know if you're going to do a rebuild. You don't know if you're going to try to work with the pieces you have. You don't know how far off you really are. So I mean, that can turn into a nightmare. And we've seen it. We've seen long-term mediocrity in football. We've seen what happens, and it happened at Miami. And it's in that it showed where we could bring in talent, but it still didn't matter because we weren't bringing in enough talent, and we weren't developing our talent. We didn't have the right coaches to do it. So I mean, I mean, of course, we're harping on all the bad things that Miami's always did, but it's realistic because just for the first time in almost 2 decades, we're seeing something different. So I mean, I still got part of me that's living in this old Miami, and I hate it. I don't want to be there anymore, but I'm still kind of half living there because I was living there for a decade and a half, basically.
Yeah.
I know Cristobal can change that, and he can change it in a hurry, and I truly hope he does, man. I really hope he does. Yeah. So I got a question for you guys. I wanted to get something a little more specific here. I want to talk about running backs, and I want to talk about running back touches this year.
Okay.
Chavez, what's your take with the running backs that we've got on this roster? You know, you got Rooster, you got Don Chaney, brought in Henry Parrish, who Kevin Smith really likes. He played for him over at Ole Miss. Got Thad, who's a thumper. You know, Cody Brown still floating around out there. What's your take, man? How would you like to see this running back room handled this year?
Oh man, I mean, it's going to be tough when you have so many talented guys. I mean, that's a good problem to have. But I think that this Josh Gaddis offense is not going to be. I don't think it's like a spread offense where they're just like running crazy. If you look at Michigan, you know, it's kind of pro style. You know, they do a little bit of everything. So I think you're going to need two backs. I think Rooster is definitely got to be one of them. I think you're going to need a thumper, which is probably going to be Chaney. And so I see it working out fine. I haven't seen a guy, the kid from Ole Miss that the running back coach brought in, but I think we're in a good place. I think we're in a good place. I think we have the talent, we have the right coaching to make things happen. But I think Rooster is very electric out of the backfield. I think one of the things that Gaddis is going to do with him is kind of get him out in the open, get him on some matchups with some linebackers, and that's a mixed match from the get go. So I think the options are great, man. So it's a good backfield and it's a good problem to have.
Yeah. One of the big reasons that the new running back coach wanted to bring over Parrish is because of his dual threat ability. That's been something that he's been talking about. So I understand versatility is a big deal. So I totally understand wanting to add that to the room. What do you think, Jordan?
Yeah. I mean, so one of the questions you asked was, how do I think the touches will shake out? I have no idea. You know, like we have a lot of guys that can carry the ball, you know, and
how would you like to see it? And so how about I'll rephrase it. How would you like to see it put out?
I mean, if Don Chaney's healthy, I really love what I've seen from him as the lead back, right?
Yeah.
So if he's 100%, he's ready to go. I love the idea of him getting, you know, 15 carries a game. Jalen Knighton is incredible. He's such an explosive athlete. You know, I think there was times last year where he was like the one dude on offense where you thought he could go to the house on any play, right? Like he gets a good block and he's gone. And unfortunately, you know, because of injuries and stuff, we weren't able to use him the proper way last year. And I think it did show that like he can only take so many hits, right? I think he was kind of limping into the end of the season because, you know, we were running him between the tackles. We were running him. I think we ran him like 32 times in one specific game. So I really like the idea of just having versatility, right? Because you can go into the season with the idea of like Chaney and Rooster are our guys. You know, Chaney's the lead back, Rooster's the change of pace. Well, Parrish is an incredibly able substitution for Rooster. You know, Thad Franklin, incredibly able substitution for Don Chaney. Hopefully, I mean we're hearing a lot of good stuff out of camp, right? You know, Cody Brown showed potential. I mean, he might be the odd man out. You know, but we just have so much talent, and it's a good thing. But it's kind of a bad thing for us right here because we're supposed to be telling people how it's going to shake out, and how are we supposed to know? You know,
it's a glutton of talent. Sometimes can get a little confusing, almost. You know.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? Like I said, I'm sticking with a little more specific roles here now. We've got a guy at tight end. Will Mallory's a guy, you know, we've trusted in him. We've seen what he can do for years and years. But behind him, we've got guys like Arroyo and Mammarelli, and we've got this incredibly gifted true freshman, Jaleel Skinner, who I look at as more of not just a tight end, but as an offensive weapon in general.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think about this tight end core? Do you think Mallory can take that next step, or do you think we'll be a lot more dependent on some of these younger guys? Go ahead, Chavez.
I think Mallory showed a lot of promise. But what I would say is, I think that we're going to need the young guys. I think we're going to need them because it's a long season. We just talked about Rooster, how he started to break down towards the end of the season. So I think Mallory is like your kind of like your staple guy, your first down, second down guy. And then when you need to change something up or you need to spread it out a little bit more, maybe that's when you go to Jaleel Skinner or one of the younger guys. I think we're going to need them all. I mean, it's a tough position if you got to run routes, you got to block. It's pretty much your receiver in the trenches.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to need them all, really.
Well, I'm gonna get back to my old brash self here, but I'm hitting the snooze button on Mallory, man. I'm tired of every season, man. It feels like it's been years, because it has been years, where I've been saying before the year, like Mallory's gonna pop. This is it.
His year.
This is it.
Maybe that's my thinking as well.
Yeah. No, I mean I mean he's just a guy that I tend to do this to players, and maybe it's a little harsh of me, but players where they just can't seem to put it together.
Yeah.
It seems like by their last year, I'm just kind of out. I did this with Nesta last year, where people are like, Nesta's going to put it together. And I was like, you know what? Call me when it happens. Like, no offense to Nesta or no offense to Will Mallory. Like, I hope that they do great, right? I always hope the best for them. I'm hoping the best for our squad, because them being great means the team is doing better. But yeah, I'm really looking to I forgot his name now. What was the guy from last year that was really good, the true freshman?
Arroyo?
Yeah, Arroyo. I'm really looking forward for Arroyo, and then Jaleel Skinner, and whatever Mammarelli can offer us as well. I hope Mallory plays well, but I'm tired of banking on it.
Speaking of a guy like Skinner, do you think that maybe it's even him, but is there a true freshman coming in that can actually play a role for us this year? I'm not saying it has to be a huge role, but is there a role for guys like Skinner to come in and play as true freshmen?
I think so, and I hope so. We got a new coaching staff. Hopefully we can rid ourselves of some of the seniority favoritism that we've seen. I suspect it probably had something to do with Manny making promises, that caught up to him halfway through the year. I could be wrong there, but if Mallory's playing the way that he did last year, I see no reason why Skinner couldn't come in if he truly is a freak athlete and earn some snaps, cut into that share of snaps. While I don't think Mallory was terrible last year, I don't think he really, if he was good, he would have gone to the draft, right? Yeah, he has a prototypical body. He really does. He has a prototypical tight end frame. If NFL scouts would have seen anything at all, he'd probably be gone. So,
I agree.
If Mallory just repeats, then yeah, Skinner has every opportunity in the world. It's just on whether he's ready or not.
There's a name that just popped up here in the chat, and it's a name that I wanted to touch on here, and it's Frank Ladson, the wide receiver transfer we got from Clemson, who's coming back home. He's from the area. Mm-hmm. There are many different feelings on Ladson. Some people truly believe that the issues he has are not fixable. They're not like Rambo's issues with drop passes. There's more to it that they feel. I understand the idea of wanting to bring in a target like that, because we just didn't have a target like that at wide receiver. Yeah. But, like Chris is saying here, I think Frank Ladson is going to be the new guy who's going to make an impact. How big of an impact do you guys think Frank Ladson will make? We'll start with you, Jordan.
So I personally don't think that Ladson to Rambo is a fair comparison, right?
Yeah, two totally different receivers.
Rambo in his freshman year had an amazing season. I believe he had 700 yards. and was getting mocked as a first-round draft pick when he was eligible, right? So, and then he had a rough season his sophomore year, right? Having issues at Oklahoma, issues with the quarterback there, and just the way the whole season played out, it seemed like he needed a fresh start. Frank Ladson can't really hang his hat on the production that Charleston Rambo had, which is where my hesitancy comes in. My approach to the wide receiver room, I'm going into this year expecting nothing from Frank Ladson. And if whatever he gives us, we should just view as a cherry on top, and I'm not saying I'm doubting him. I'm just saying with a guy who has just the way his career has gone, I'm not really going to hang my hat on him until we start seeing okay, yeah, there's some production, there's a reason why he was 5-star, that type of stuff. Right. So I'm kind of going into the season. I probably won't project him as a starter. If he does, it'll catch my eye and maybe I'll start to have a little more faith. But for now, I just think whatever we get from him is a bonus.
Yeah, I think I would have to agree, man. I mean, I don't think anything you said is disrespectful or anything like that. But when it comes to anything and any player for the year coming up, you're going to look at their past production, and if you don't have anything to look at, then how do I project what I think you're going to be? If you're at the University of Miami, we know you have talent, but what have we seen from you? You know what I mean? So. Of course, he's a talented kid. We know he's a talented kid. He's from the area. Sure. If you get a scholarship to Clemson, you can play ball. If you end up at Miami, you can play ball. But at the end of the day, I mean, we've got to see the production. So I totally agree. I don't think I could have said it better myself. Whatever he gives us, it's a cherry on top. We'll take it. We'll embrace him as a Miami Hurricane. And, of course, we wish him the best.
Yeah, I would love to see him successful here. It's just, it's kind of like I've seen what X can do. I've seen what Keyshawn Smith can do. I've seen what Jacoby George can do. Geez, names are rough doing these early spring shows.
Brashard Smith, all that stuff.
Man, Brashard Smith. Yeah, I almost said Brashard Perryman. I don't know why. Yeah, Brashard Smith. We got guys and we've seen what our young guys can do. And at this point, that's what I'm going to bank on, right? I've seen them do it. I've seen them do it with a Hurricanes logo on their helmet. Anything that Frank Ladson gives us will be awesome, but I'm just not hanging my hat on it yet.
The one thing though, and while I'm just like you, I trust these younger receivers and I expect them to do well. Yeah. We still don't know which one of them we can hang our hat on yet. Who will actually be our wide receiver one? Because it's not just losing Rambo. When you lose Rambo and a guy like Harley combined, that means that players behind them weren't getting nearly as many touches because you had 2 NFL caliber guys ahead of them.
Yeah.
So what to me is more important is finding consistency.
Yeah.
With the wide receiver position. That's because TBD is so good. He's going to get guys open. He's going to make plays happen.
Yeah.
But as long as these guys run the right routes, show up at the right time, and actually catch the damn ball.
Yeah.
That's all I can really ask from them, man.
Dude, there is huge opportunity for Jacoby George this year because Keyshawn Smith showed me enough in his last 2 years that I'm very confident with him as wide receiver 2. Right? Now, whether he can make a leap up to wide receiver 1 remains to be seen. But I'm very comfortable with him as a complementary wide receiver. So that's kind of what I'm looking for this year is, are we going to be dependent on guys like X, working from the slot underneath, or is a guy like Jacoby George really going to, because we saw flashes from George last year where it's this guy is good, this guy is really good. And, I would love to see him really plant his flag and I'm the guy that's going to get you those 25-yard gains, when we really need points, that type of thing. I'm going to get the separation downfield, that type of stuff. But I really am happy with the idea of Keyshawn Smith being very stable,
One thing that I do believe we need in this offense, and I believe it's a benefit for every offense, is a wide receiver who can simply take in a ton of targets when needed, can absorb targets when needed. That used to be our Braxton Berrios back in the day. We really haven't found that since then. I'm hoping that guy, Xavier Restrepo, can start to show that consistency for us, because when that consistency starts to happen as a possession receiver, it opens up things for all the rest of the guys. You can't just focus on one guy anymore. If X knows how to sit right over the middle and get open for 7-8 yards every single time, that changes how the defense has to approach the entire game. I've got to see us find a possession receiver. Do you guys think that X could be that, or is he still too young?
No, I think he can be that. I mean, I think that I think he's seen the field enough to kind of, fill out that position. But it also comes down to an offensive coordinator and a position coach developing him, like we've been talking about, and putting him in a position or giving him the free reign to, teaching him and then giving him the free reign to go be that kind of receiver. But I think he can be. I mean, he's shifty. He's a little guy. He reminds me of like a Wes Welker, type of guy. What's our guy from the Rams?
Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, Cooper Kupp kind of guy. I think that he's a very versatile player. I think he can do everything from that position. I think he's a deep threat. I think he'll be a possession receiver as well. I think he'll be more valuable as a possession receiver, like you were saying. But if he can be that, that 3rd down and 7 guy who can get us the first, just make a catch and get down or get out of bounds and keep the sticks moving. I think, like you said, it opens up a few more pages of our playbook.
Yeah. Well, being a Bills fan, I watched a lot of Bills over the last 3 years, and it can't be overstated the importance of what Cole Beasley did for them the last 3 years. Like, that's exactly what we need. Is that, like, when it was 3rd and 7, I almost was confident. It's like I just knew that Allen was going to throw a low pass to Beasley, who's sliding to make the catch, and right past the 1st down marker. You know what I mean? Like, that's exactly what we need. And I think X can be that. I'm kind of penciling him in as our 3rd wide receiver, working out of the slot for that reason. I liked what I saw out of him last year. So I have some confidence in X going forward right now.
That kid has got some balls, I'll tell you that. Yeah. That kid has got some huevos, man, because watching him take, as a true freshman, with all the punt return issues we had, watching him take that punt off the bounce when everybody was gathered around him and get extra yards, bro, that takes big balls from a true freshman. Big balls. Well, guys, we're about to reach our hour here. We try to keep it about an hour, but there's one last question we got here from the guys in the chat, and he's a guy that we haven't talked about yet, so let's give him a shot here. What are you guys hearing, or what are your thoughts on Michael Redding, the wide receiver that we simply haven't heard much about at all for a long time? Do you guys think that his time at Miami is almost over, or do you think that he still has a chance?
Well, all right. So I'll take this one really quick. I think he has a chance because of the new staff. It's a new staff. I think it's a fresh start. I think he has a chance to make a splash, but I also think that this is his last chance. Yeah. So if you got a fresh start with new offense coordinator, new head coach, all new eyes, everybody starting from ground zero. If you can't make a splash now, then I think his time is up.
Especially at his age too. This should be the year where you start to see a lot more come together. What do you think, Jordan?
Yeah, I mean, it's not like he's even a guy where we've seen enough flashes for me to be like, all right, the opportunity's there, right? Yeah. Honestly, I forgot he was on the roster. And I don't mean that disrespectfully. Right. I mean that is I didn't even see enough of him last year to be like, ooh, his time. Next year is his time because of, the way that the room is positioned. And so I would agree with Chavez there. I'm open to the idea of him making his mark with a new staff. But still, I haven't seen his name in camp yet. And granted, I haven't been following it as close as I would fall camp. I haven't seen his name come up yet. So, I'm open-minded, but I'm not banking on him.
Mm-hmm.
Well, guys, you know what? We're hitting our hour mark here, and that's usually about when we end the show. And what I noticed with today is that we stuck primarily to offense. So I'm wondering maybe if you guys are available here in the future, we'll talk about it and stuff, and we come on here and we do a little breakdown on the defense, just like this. What do you guys think?
Yep,
Absolutely.
let's do it.
All right, man. All right, we'll stay in touch and we'll make it happen. Canes fans, thank you for jumping in. We know that this was a random show, not expected. Nobody thought we were jumping in and doing this, but thank you to the 45 fans that are in here right now watching us, and thank you to the fans that came and went. And once again, always about the U. Go Canes.
Yep. Thanks, guys. Go Canes.
All right, fellas.